Traditions, values, culture. These are the things that help us remember where we came from. It's time for Family Heritage Stories.
I'm Doug Jessup.
And I'm Nisha DeGaring, and welcome to Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these things passed down from generation to generation? Through deeds, through words, and through stories. I want to welcome this lady right here, my new host, Nisha DeGaring. We're going to be hearing from her later in the show.
There is something so special about the bond between a grandchild and grandparent. So how would you answer the question? Tell me about your grandma or grandpa.
Tell me about your mom's mom.
So my mom's mom is Elaine Wild. She loved family history. So that's one of the main things I remember about her. I remember going to her house and the basement was just full of records everywhere that she was going through and trying to sort through. And I remember she spent a long time trying to take the paper records she had and get them digitally entered so that they could actually keep track of things after she'd spent 30 years, 40 years doing family history. I think she went down to the family history library in Salt Lake once a week for a full day for most of her life. So.
How about her husband?
So her husband was Veldon Wild. He was an engineer. He built the house that I remember him living at. He built it from scratch, and I have some of his tools at home. I remember playing chess with him once when I was like 7 or 8, and he was playing me in one game of chess and my brother in one game of chess at the same time, and we both lost. So I think he went. I don't remember exactly where he worked, but I know he worked in like developing some of the guidance systems for some systems. So,
how about your dad's side?
My dad's side, my grandmother is Marion Mangelson, and she passed away about a few years ago. She loved just being around people. She loved talking. she loved just visiting with people and hearing about how everyone was doing all the time. I loved going to their house and just visiting and seeing I remember playing in the backyard at their house once in Orem, and either me or my brother threw a baseball that went through their basement window. So I remember that. But
your father's father?
Yeah. So his name is Nolan Mangelson, and he was a chemistry professor at BYU. He's still alive. And he's always been both my grandparents have been really big examples to me. I'm in engineering. I'm a professor at BYU now, just like he was, but in engineering, like my other grandpa. And I think both of them have been really great examples to me of the type of person I want to be. Someone who is committed to both their work life as well as their families and their faith. So I think I want to be like both of them, and our son Nolan is named after both of them, mainly because we want him to be like them as well.
Okay. I affectionately call this semi-last question, but I affectionately call it the time machine question. Okay? So fast forward, you're now a grandfather. How do you want your grandkids to describe you?
I want to be remembered in the same way that I remember them. I want to be remembered as someone who is committed to doing well in my academic career as well as in my faith. I think for both of them, I kind of learned that faith and science don't have to be in conflict, and I wanted to be an example of that, right? That I am committed to both what I believe as well as to the things I do at work, and that's important to me.
Traditions, values, culture.
These stories deserve to be remembered with an in-studio interview.
We take out the bloopers, add in your pictures, and give you a digital video to keep.
For pricing and to schedule your interview with either me or Nisha, go to FamilyHeritageStories.com. Tonight on Family Heritage Stories.
Joseph F. Smith, Artifacts of the Restoration.
Up next, my interview with this woman, my new co-host, Nisha DeGary.
It's all about me.
Welcome to this episode of Family Heritage Stories. I'm Doug Jessup. With me today, the very lovely and talented Nisha DeGary.
Hi, Doug.
Nisha, I am so glad you're on today, and we've got a reason, and we're gonna reveal that a little bit later, but the name of the show is called Family Heritage Stories. What does family heritage mean to you?
By the way, I've seen your work, and I love the stories. And I love that I'm in your place, your set now. Typically, you're over at my house on Good Things, Utah.
Yes, that is true.
What does family heritage mean to me? So I'm the youngest of 6 children. I'm the baby. Like, I'm 8 years from the 5th, so I was a little bit of an only child. Family was most important, especially to my dad, who has now been gone for 22 years in April.
Wow.
Family was everything to my dad. My last name was Muse. My maiden name is Muse. And muses are this, that, the other. That's always what my dad's mantra was. Muses are honest. Muses are hardworking. Muses don't give up. And muses are all about family. And my dad's gone, but that has stayed with all 6 of us as we rally around my mom now, who's elderly and misses him desperately, and we all do. But family, for me, family heritage just is this unit that we've created that Doug has had so much love in my life and so much support in my life, even without that key piece of it that we all miss.
Yeah. So Nisha, you and I have chatted a lot, and I've interviewed you a couple times, but you've interviewed me a couple times, and you've interviewed a lot of people. How in the world did you get into interviewing people?
That's a good question. I wanted to be a journalist from the time I can remember. And growing up, your options were medicine or teaching. And not that those aren't incredible professions, but I'm the baby, and I'm not going to do what you say. The other 5 did. The other 5 all went into the medical field, or they were teachers like my parents. And I had decided I've got to find what I want to do, or I'm going to be pigeonholed into those 2 things, and I think I wanted to do something different. So I remember writing down with an encyclopedia what I'm good at and then jobs that I could do. I had to go to the library. Like, I couldn't look at a phone and decide, or hop on LinkedIn and see what jobs were available. So I came up with like attorney and journalist and broadcaster. I circled broadcaster, did this sit down with my parents at the age of 15 and said, guess what? I'm taking a left-hand turn and I'm going into broadcasting. I think I held my fist up like a microphone. I was like, look at me, I can do this. I'm Nisha Muse, here's the news. Like, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
See?
Okay, and a little sing-song.
And they both said, absolutely not. We hate it. We hate it.
Yeah.
Well, that was all I needed to go right into it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think my passion of asking questions came as a kid, just why this? Why that? Why am I? I think they always knew that I would be asking the questions, and here we are almost 3 decades later, and I've had the best time. I can't imagine a better seat to everything that's happened over the last 3 decades. I've had this perch on the news first and then Good Things Utah. I've had the growth in our state, how Utah's changed, how it's stayed the same, the people. I mean, it's just been, I'm lucky. Well,
I've also noticed that you've been emceeing events now.
I do.
Tell me about that.
Okay, tell you about emceeing. It's one of those natural progressions. I think that there's so many events and people doing incredible things in our community, and they want to get that word out, but Nisha, could you help us? Anisha, could you present it in a way that it makes sense and that we can hopefully make money for our organization, or we can, get the word across to our company? And I've had the best time, like, jumping in, Here's the thing, everybody, with Good Things Utah and with doing interviews, you know a little about a lot. I mean, I do how many every day on Good Things Utah? 8? 7 or 8? And so you're getting all this information thrown at you, and I have to relay it to everyone in a way that they understand. And the same goes with emceeing. It's throw me information, and hopefully my job is to ask the questions and to present it in a way that makes sense and helps your organization. And I've had the best time doing that.
So here's the big question. How would you feel about doing longer interviews?
What are you asking me to do?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you to say, hey, do you want to join the team?
I would love to. I would love to hold my little microphone up and make it real, not my fist this time, and step right in and help Doug Jessup do these interviews.
I think we can arrange that. I'm
Let's
just saying. Okay, now except you got a little tiny microphone right there. It's like, okay. The last words that my grandfather said were, "Please remember me." This is Doug Jessup. It would be my honor to help you share your story with a private in-studio interview with a video for you to keep. Go to familyheritagestories.com for pricing and to schedule your interview. How do you want to be remembered? It's not just a question for old people. With me today, Jean Rounard. Okay, now Jean. See, I feel like saying Jean Rounard. Okay, now we were talking a little bit off camera.
Yeah.
So how do you spell your last name?
A lot of vowels. Renouard.
But I understand it wasn't always quite like that.
No, it's the pronunciation is Renoir.
Renoir. Okay, now I've heard of a famous Renoir guy.
There's a famous one. Yeah. So Renoir, the painter, prior to him being married, spelled his name Renouard. When he got married, the scribe spelled it phonetically, and so we all know him, and he signs his art with Renoir.
So for all we know, he got married in Ellis Island. I don't know.
That could be. That could be. That could be.
Okay. This dream was a while ago, but I'm pretty sure it made an impact on you.
Yeah. What I remember was this post coming down and this wheel going in a circle and men that were turning it. And so that was the impetus. So that was a new way of doing things. And again, at the time, really didn't know what I was seeing, right? But I knew that it was for drilling water boreholes. And so that was what I drew out and what I could remember. What I didn't have a clear memory of was the frame and how it built. And I'll jump to the end of the story, and we're working with these students, and we're building this thing. And I gave a little halftime speech to our 7 engineers and told them to use inspiration and let's bring this thing across the finish line. And it was the first time that for the whole semester I didn't talk to them for the rest of the week. I said, whatever's going to be is going to be, right? We'll just figure it out. The last day that we had to have final drawings, I got a call from the students. They said, hey, we sent you a CAD drawing. Why don't you open and take a look at it? So I went to the computer, I opened it up, and there it was. And I recognized it from the original dream, and that was it. And that was probably the first time I realized, yeah, my life's going to change a little bit. And so that was 12 years ago, and from those very, very humble beginnings, we're now in 37 countries. We have over 125 drill teams out in those countries. We've drilled over 10,000 wells, which is probably giving well over 10 million people clean water for the first time. And right now we're finishing about 4.5 wells a day, every day throughout the world. So that's where we are 12 years later. That's the long and the short of it.
Africa's got water.
Yeah,
There's plenty of water.
There's lots of more there than here.
Problem is that the groundwater is not exactly the cleanest in the world, but they do have it underneath.
Right.
Okay. What does it mean for them, for a village out in the middle of nowhere, to be able to get clean water?
So, as you can imagine, life changes in a myriad of ways. But the first and most important is it changes for the girls and the women of the village. In most countries, not all, but in most of the African countries, and quite frankly, most of the developing countries, the people that go fetch water are typically the young girls and the women. The walk that most of these girls are taking every single day is over 3 miles. And there's girls that, as you can imagine, they're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and they're carrying a 5-gallon bucket of dirty water on their head. That water weighs 42 pounds. Most of these girls are 80, 90, maybe 100 pounds at that age. And they're almost carrying close to double their weight on their head. The trek is hard, but the dangers that are involved, you have animals, you have sprained ankles, you know, they fall and get hurt. But the real tragedy is that there's terrible people out there that also know where these girls are going to be, and they know they're going to be unprotected. Almost every girl that fetches water over a period of time will be accosted, will be severely abused in many ways. The first thing water does, it brings the water closer to where they're at. The second thing it does is it creates health. Where the water is at, where it's dirty, that's where malaria is at. So they're no longer going to these ponds that have the mosquitoes, and so the malaria goes way down. Obviously, the intestinal bugs that you get from drinking this water is eliminated.
From connecting with cave art to creating videos that show up on your kids' or grandkids' devices, this is all about connection, connecting with people we know and we love. Want to know about the power of a story? We asked Mara.
It's priceless. It's priceless to me because when I was first sitting with the guys listening to their stories, it's something you just can't get back. And there's a lot of stories I wish I would have had recorded from my dad, my mom, my grandparents. So at least we were able to get these stories recorded. And to have them videoed and digitized is key, because the younger generation, you know, sitting with my nephews, doing homework with them over COVID, they weren't looking at books, they were looking at screens. And they can look at this on a screen.
I'm Doug Jessup.
And I'm Nisha Garing. It would be our honor to help tell your family heritage story. Go to our website to schedule an in-studio interview on the Jessup's Journal TV set. Broadcast audio, video, and lighting are already set up to ensure quality control. All you need to do is come to our Salt Lake City studio and we'll do the rest. Our professional editing staff will take out bloopers and add your pictures to create a private digital video for your devices. Go to FamilyHeritageStories.com for pricing and to schedule your interview. Objects with stories, our treasures remembered. It's time now for a visit with Brandon Fugal.
Hi, this is Doug Jessup. Welcome to this episode of Treasures Remembered. With me today, Brandon Fugal. So, Brandon, I know that you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you served a mission. Where did you serve your mission?
I was fortunate enough to serve my mission to Hawaii.
Oh.
I was in the blessed Hawaii Honolulu mission.
Okay, these items right here apparently have a ever so slightly small connection to Hawaii.
They really do. They're very significant. These are items belonging to Joseph F. Smith, who was the quintessential Hawaiian missionary. But to go back in time, at age 5, his father Hiram was murdered at Carthage jail with his uncle Joseph. And by the age of 7, he famously drove the wagon train with his widowed mother, Mary Fielding, to winter quarters. By age of 12, Joseph F. was an orphan. His mother had passed on, and he and his little sister Martha were all alone. Brigham Young famously called young 15-year-old Joseph F. Smith to the Hawaiian mission, or what was the Sandwich Islands, over the pulpit of the tabernacle at General Conference. And from there, his life took on an entirely new and dynamic trajectory. This letter begins our journey. This is a letter that Joseph F. Smith wrote in 1855 to his little sister Martha from the island of Maui, Sandwich Islands at the time, where he admonishes his sister to pay attention to her schooling, and her studies, to keep the faith, and to know that he loves her. His penmanship is beautiful. It is just beautifully done, although his spelling at the time had some challenges.
Not so good, huh? Yeah, well.
He later corrected that and became just not only an amazing writer, but was an incredible prophet and president of the church. This is his Hawaiian Book of Mormon. Most people don't realize the most rare edition of the Book of Mormon is the 1855 Hawaiian Book of Mormon printed by George Q. Cannon. This is the Hawaiian Book of Mormon, one of 7 that survive in private hands, but the best preserved that just so happens to belong to the martyr's son who became prophet. Joseph F. Smith inscribed the book from Hawaii, and he later signed it to his beloved son Wesley in 1907. Now you may ask, why Wesley and not Joseph Fielding Smith, his son who became prophet? Well, Wesley Elias Smith, interestingly, was the only son that followed in his father's footsteps as a Hawaiian missionary and mission president. This book stands not only as a witness of his mission to Hawaii and his travels, but is arguably one of the most rare and important pieces of church history. In this clamshell case, we have another interesting item from Joseph F. Smith's history. In here we have Joseph F. Smith's glasses that he wore as prophet over the pulpit. As a truly visionary man whose vision, the redemption of the dead, ended up becoming canonized, and his words to this day are often quoted, "These glasses for me bring to life the man, the prophet, the president of the church who was the martyr's son, that also happened to be the quintessential Hawaiian missionary, who I to this day relate to in my own faith journey. And it's a privilege to be the steward and caretaker of these objects, which are not only pieces of church history and relics of the faith, but also treasures remembered."
Oh, yeah. Everyone has a story. Objects with stories are treasures remembered. There are reasons why people celebrate things like Scandinavian days and Day of the Dead. One word: culture.
Yes, I'm hoping that I want to make, but I've seen this road. Please accept my plea. Your Majesty, Your Majesty, what do you have in store for me? One lonely rock on a mountain top. How do I see beyond? late, but I've seen this road. Please accept my plea. Oh, through my feet, my feet. Oh, I pray to be upon my knees. I escape for the Almighty King. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the simple things. Thank you for the way I see.
What are your family stories? I'm Nisha DeGaring.
I'm Doug Jessup. It would be our honor to help you share your stories with an in-studio interview.
We take out the bloopers, add in your pictures, and give you a digital video to keep.
To schedule your interview, go to familyheritagestories.com.
It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
If stories aren't passed down from generation to generation, the stories are lost, and it's as though those people never existed.
So how do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessup.